Hello, everybody, and welcome to Gideon's Life All Around Chronic Pain. I'm happy you're with me today. And if you like to ask questions, please don't hesitate. Just do it, write it in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, so we covered a lot of stuff up to today. And today it's going to be about nociplastic pain. This kind of pain nearly nobody heard about, at least not of my clients. And I think most people didn't do that. So this is going to be interesting. It's a very complex topic. So I just picked out some parts that I want to show you today. There will be a video on YouTube up soon. It's in the editing about nociplastic pain that will give you more kind of a deep dive into it. Okay. And before we start, I'd like to, because it fits the topic pretty well, I'd like to invite you to a little exercise. And for this, I want you to really sit up comfortably. Really sit up comfortably. And for everything I do here, please don't do it while driving or swimming or doing anything that needs your attention otherwise. Okay, because we're gonna get our attention inwardly. We're gonna turn it inwardly. And so it's better you're not doing anything that requires your attention. But if you're sitting somewhere or you lie down, that's okay too. Just allow yourself to notice your breathing. Allow yourself to notice where you sense you're breathing the most. This is at the nose, the throat, your chest, your belly, wherever. Just gently notice where you feel your breath. And without pushing it at all, allow it to get a little bit deeper. For the whole exercise, it should feel comfortable for you. So don't bother with doing it right or doing it especially good. Just feel comfortable breathing. And maybe you discovered when you noticed your breathing that the breathing changed a bit. That's normal. Just let it deepen a bit. And maybe really safely, you can breathe into your belly. Ever so gently breathe into your belly. And you can put one hand on your stomach, or if you like to, both, and feel how your belly goes out when you breathe in, and backward when you breathe out. And just stick with it ever so gently, breathing into your belly and breathing out again. Find your own rhythm. Find your own time for it. And remember, you don't have to be right. You don't have to do it right. You don't have to do it perfect. It's just about noticing your breath. And if you don't feel that you're breathing into your belly, that's okay. Absolutely okay. And maybe you can even discover and notice that your breathing might have changed by now. For most people, it's getting slower and deeper over time. And even if your head is preoccupied by thoughts, thank your mind for this. It's trying to solve problems and analyze things. And let it do its work and just return with your attention to the breathing as well as possible. And then take a good stretch and breathe in more deeply and fully. If you have closed your eyes, just open them and welcome back. Check for a moment how you feel right now and if anything changed. Okay. And when you're ready, we're gonna start with today's program. As I said, today we're gonna talk about nociplastic pain. And the first time nociplastic pain was mentioned was in 2017. So it's really new because we learned so much new things about pain and chronic pain over the last 15 to 20 years that we needed a new description for this kind of pain. And as you can see on the picture, I also put in some of the diagnosis for which it was made or thought up. It was fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, and complex regional pain syndrome. We didn't have anything that described what was happening there well. But because now we know so much more of what's going on in the brains, we got a lot closer to it. And hear my words? I said we got closer. That's not it. I'm sure we're not yet at the right description of what's happening in fibromyalgia, IBS, or CRPS. So, that said, how is it to be distinguished from the other two types of pain I talked about yesterday and the day before? Nociceptive pain and neuropathic pain. Nociceptive pain and neuropathic pain, we call it bottom-up pain because it goes from the outside of the body to the inside. It's the signals going from the periphery, meaning your limbs, your body, to the brain. First, it goes into the spinal cord and then up to the brain. And that's what we call bottom up, the way from the outside in. And this is what we typically experience as pain. And we always think, yeah, that's pain, nothing else. There's a damage in my body and this is hurting because there's the damage, maybe an inflammation, or maybe a nerve is damaged or something like that. And so it sends signals to the spinal cord, and there it's a transition to other nerves that lead up to the brain, where it's spread in all those centers where pain is managed, or that have to do with threat detection. I think that's a better description. Now, with nociplastic pain, we actually have it the other way around. And this is really interesting because, as I said in the videos before, and if you want to, you might look it up, especially in the first and second video I did on my lives. It starts, the brain decides upon pain. The pain decides if the alarm system is starting to work and the bell is ringing. Okay, and it's starting to hurt then. Okay, because there's so many information that's put together and evaluated by the brain, and only then, if the evaluation sees a real threat, a possible damage, or an actual damage, then it sets off the alarm. Okay, now here in nociplastic pain, this is a special case because we have so many symptoms all around. There are so many systems in the body that are in these workings of the chronic pain that we mostly call it a syndrome. Especially fibromyalgia is a syndrome because so many functions of our bodies are drawn into it. And I will show you the slide to it, what the typical symptoms are, and then you can see what it actually does. Well, of course, there's the pain, and in case of fibromyalgia, it's often a widespread pain with varying locations. So one day it's your arms hurting, next day it's your back or the legs, or maybe it's all together, or the pain is like wandering throughout the body. Now, if your pain is like this is a pretty clear sign for nociplastic pain. And we have different therapeutic schools, and in some it's called neuroplastic pain. Okay, so but it's the equivalent, they're pretty much the same. The whole thing goes along with a high sensitivity to pain stimuli. So what back then didn't bother you at all suddenly becomes painful. And even slight touches or cold or heat or whatever suddenly becomes painful. For other people, it wouldn't be. So it's getting more and more sensitive. Then there's a high sensitivity of the senses. And this is something that people with migraine know too. It's like you think, oh, it's too bright, it's too loud, the smell is too much for me. I just want to get away from it. These are typical changes that take place, and there you can see that more systems than just feeling a sensation of pain are in there. Another very very bad ailment for most people is fatigue, being tired. And even if you got a good night's sleep, you don't wake up refreshed. Or if you have a good day and you do something, it's very fast over and you're just tired and you just can't go on. All the energy is drained. Sleep disturbances are pretty normal in the whole thing. And also cognitive disturbances. It's this, I always call it walking through a cognitive swamp. You have to, it takes a lot of concentration to gather your thoughts and to remember things. And sometimes it's all a little hazy for you in your brain. This is also called, because of this haziness, it's called brain fog. Anxiety, fear, and depression play an important role. And reduced pain inhibition. And this is something very important because our body is very well capable of inhibiting pain signals. And this somehow gets out of order. This doesn't work that well anymore. For some it's more, for some it's less, but still, this is part of the higher sensitivity to the pain stimuli because more is coming through and more is experienced as painful. Now, the causes are wide. You can't say that's it. We know there are some things that pretty much lead to an experience like that. That's a high level of constant stress, for example, might lead to this. Certain infections might foster the development of nociplastic pain and certain immune reactions. And this goes along with the infections, of course. There's a starting point, but often this is gone, sometimes long time ago, but still the body is reacting in this way. And what's happening is peripheral and central sensitization. And the peripheral sensitization I talked about when we talked about nociplastic pain, that the fibers that detect differences in the body and also by this detect damages, that they become more and more sensitive. And the same holds true on the central level, meaning the central nervous system. It's the spinal cord. Within the spinal cord, those fibers that transport the information up in the brain, they become more sensitive, but also within the brain. And what's happening is is that pain in a certain way is learned. Like everything that we experience again and again and again is learned. And by this, the kind of see, now being German just tripped me a leg. Well, by this, everything that's pain becomes more automatic and easier to enter. So my body is better in giving me the state of pain. It's just like English vocabulary, even though it was just missing a couple sentences ago. It's like playing piano when you don't have to think how to hit the keys anymore. You just look at the notes and you go and just start playing. In the same way, the body gives us pain more automatically. And this is what we call a central sensitization. And it starts in your spinal cord. And we know today that immune factors play a role, especially in the spinal cord. And we know that learning takes place in the brain between the different areas. And as I mentioned often enough before now, it's like over 40 areas we know of that play a role when you experience pain. There is not the pain area in the brain. We don't have such a thing. Okay, it's the play of the interplay of all those different areas together. And what comes out of it is what you experience as pain. Now, how can it be that it gets triggered? And if we look at pain as a survival system, then it's just one of a few we have. Another one is the stress system, stress and anxiety. They should keep us from harm before it even happens. When something senses danger, it says, oh, pay attention. Okay, not here right now. And it will keep us from doing maybe something stupid. So it keeps us alive. But also, if we need the energy that's set free when we're in stress, the tension that sets free when we're in stress, if we need it, it can help us to survive. And the same holds true for pain. Pain is there to stop us when there's damage done. When there's damage in the body, and it should stop us from going further, not to damage us more. And the third part is, and nearly nobody thinks of it, is nausea. Nausea keeps us from eating the wrong stuff. And if we did so, our body, our brain helps us by vomiting it out again, so we won't be poisoned. So all three systems, they work together, and they work again in very close. They're like hardwired, They're and this is not just one direction. It's not like, okay, I'm in pain, and it will lead to anxiety and stress. And I think everybody knows that when the pain gets rough enough, you feel stress and maybe even anxiety. And this feeds back into the pain. and the pain will get worse. And when the pain gets worse, what happens to the stress and anxiety or fear? It gets more, right? And so we're in this circle that goes round and round and round. And it's not easy to break, I guess. And the thing is that when we get so sensitive, actually stimuli that are just normal get the label of being threatening. And by this, our body reacts to it. And when it reacts, we feel the pain. So actually, it's like our brain tells us something is dangerous that actually isn't. But it learns this over and over and over again. So it stays in the zone of being dangerous. There isn't anything going wrong in my body. There isn't any damage in my body. And this holds true actually not only for things like fibromyalgia, but for most, really most kind of chronic pains, because there is, and that's one thing that's important with chronic pain, that it loses the warning sign. There is no damage anymore. There's no tissue damage in most cases. Okay, so if it hurts, it misinterprets something as dangerous. And this is exactly, and yesterday I said, oh, this is the big playing field for the psychotherapists and for the psychologists. Because what we do is we teach the brain to calm down. And that's exactly what you can do. Teaching your brain to calm down. And by this, you're step by step retraining your brain to react differently to the stimuli. And therapeutic techniques are out there that do this pretty well by now. And one of them is acceptance and commitment therapy. Another one is pain reprocessing therapy, where the major part, the focus, is exactly on these things. And this is why we did the little exercise in the beginning. This is the first step of teaching your brain to calm down. And it would be very nice if you use this for you. Of course, you go way, way further in there. But often, working with your breath can get you a long way already. And as I promised, I will get to more practical things when we go on with the lives next week. On Monday, I'll be online again, and I'll do something very practical for you, showing you the next way how to use your breath to calm down. Happy if you leave comments, if this was helpful for you, if you got something new out of it, and we see you next week. Bye.